What's the most powerful message you've ever heard? For literally billions of people, the answer for the last 2,000 years has been the gospel. But what does that word even mean? Why does it have such a lasting impact? Well, today, we're going to break that down. Okay, I want you to imagine reaching the absolute peak of your career. You've got the status, the respect, all the knowledge. You're at the top. Now imagine calling all of that rubbish, literally, trash. Well, that's exactly what a man named the Apostle Paul did. This guy was a super respected religious leader, but something happened that made him see his entire life's work as totally worthless. So you have to ask, right? Why? What on earth could be so powerful that it makes someone just throw away everything they've worked for? Well, the answer is in this single message he came across. A message that completely rewired his reality. A message called the gospel. At its core, the word gospel just means good news. Simple enough. And according to our source material, it's the specific news that God has made a way for us to be saved through Jesus Christ. But that kind of begs a question, doesn't it? Saved from what? See, to really get why the news is so good, we've got to start with the bad news it came to solve. So this slide kind of lays out a stark before and after. On the left, you've got the original design, a world that was created to be good, a place where people had this amazing, close relationship with their creator. But then, look at the right side. That's what happened because of human disobedience, what the source calls sin. And this wasn't just about breaking a rule. It completely shattered that relationship, creating this huge gap and bringing spiritual death into the picture. And get this, the fallout wasn't just about people. This quote from the book of Romans paints a much bigger picture. It says the entire creation is groaning like it's in pain. This tells us we're not just talking about a personal problem, but a deep, fundamental brokenness in the very fabric of the world. But, you know, a world in crisis is the perfect setup for a rescue mission. This bad news of a broken, groaning world, well, that's not where the story ends. It actually creates the desperate need for the good news to finally show up and fix things. So, how does God respond to this mess? The answer is the absolute central event of the gospel. It's called the incarnation. This is the wild idea that God didn't just shout down instructions from heaven. He actually became part of the story himself by taking on a human body as Jesus Christ. This famous line from the Gospel of John just puts it so beautifully. The Word became flesh. The Word here means the very essence of God. And in this radical move, that divine essence became human, to dwell, to literally pitch his tent and live and breathe right here with us. This is the good news in physical form. And this passage from Philippians really gets to the heart of how it happened. Even though he was God, he made himself nothing. The source points this out to show it wasn't him getting knocked down a peg. It was this incredible act of humility, a deliberate choice to become a servant, to build a bridge across that massive gap that sin had created. Now, this brings us to a really crucial point. According to the source, Jesus didn't just show up to deliver the good news. He claimed to be the good news. I mean, he stood up and said he was the fulfillment of ancient prophecies. He made that incredibly bold claim, I am the way, the truth, and the life. And the Gospel of Mark literally kicks off by saying Jesus' story is the message. He wasn't the mailman. He was the letter. Okay, so if the claim is that huge, that a man is the living, breathing good news, then how do you prove something like that? An incredible claim needs incredible proof. And according to this message, the whole thing is validated by one single pivotal event, the cross. Theologian Roy Gustafson just nails it here. He says that Jesus dying to save us is one half of the story, and him being raised from the dead to keep us is the other half. So the death and the resurrection, they're not two different stories. They're two inseparable sides of the same coin, one complete rescue operation. So what's the end result of all this? What does this complete message actually do? Well, it's a total reversal of that bad news we started with. It brings reconciliation to fix that broken relationship. It offers new life to beat spiritual death. It provides salvation for the forgiveness of sin. And it promises eternal life that goes way beyond our physical end. So we've gone through the theology, the big ideas. But let's bring this all the way back to where we started, with the Apostle Paul calling his amazing career rubbish.
what does any of this have to do with our actual day-to-day lives, with something as real as our happiness? This slide really breaks it down. On one side, you've got the happiness the world offers. You know the drill. It's based on your status, how much money you have, what you know. And hey, that can feel good for a while, but the source here argues it's temporary. It always runs out. But on the other side is the happiness the gospel claims to offer, which is based on that restored relationship with God. And this, it says, is permanent. It's an ever-flowing spring. Paul had everything on the left side of this chart, but he treated it all for what he found on the right.
And this quote from Jesus just captures that final promise perfectly, a satisfaction so deep and so complete that it becomes a permanent spring of water inside you. So the gospel isn't just presented as a fix for a spiritual problem, but as the source of a joy that never, ever runs dry. And that kind of leaves us with a final question to chew on. In a world full of things that promise to make us happy, but always leave us thirsty, what would it actually mean to find a spring that never runs out?